This Game Day update is sponsored by Mutual Federal, proudly serving Columbus with personal and business solutions at mutualfederal.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Dylan Gonzalez. For the first time in the conference's history, the Big Ten Championship will be a matchup of the top two teams in the country when Ohio State takes on Indiana tonight in Indy. Keep it right here for coverage leading up to the game and kickoff at 8 o'clock. The Ohio State basketball team went up to Evanston and beat Northwestern 86-82 in their first conference game this season. Texas Tech is your Big 12 champion this year, beating BYU 34-7. Western Michigan is your MAC champion. They defeated Miami of Ohio 23-13 up in Detroit. The SEC championship game down in Atlanta between Georgia and Alabama is currently scoreless in the first quarter, while Virginia and Duke will kick off for the ACC crown at 8 o'clock in Charlotte. Breaking sports news when it happens right here on The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
You smell it? The fine aroma of a soon-to-be Buckeye victory and Rothman searing his brat. Intoxicating. This is the Central Ohio Toyota Dealers Tailgate Show.
Visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And presented by Curtis & Associates. Remember, they don't get paid unless you get paid. And by Mountain Dew. Here for the good times. Do the do.
Here's Tim May, Dave Biddle, and Anthony Rothman.
All right, let's go. A little under 4 hours. Got to pace ourselves a little bit, but great to have you with us. Championship Saturday in the Big Ten. Anthony Rothman, Dave Biddle, Tim May. Ohio State unbeaten. Current 16-game winning streak. Indiana also unbeaten. And their only losses in the last couple of years have come to last year's championship opponents, Notre Dame and Ohio State. And from Lucas Oil, this will be a packed house. They're expecting a sold-out show. It is sold out, so nearly 70,000. The ticket is very tough. It's gone up and up and up, mostly because it's in the Hoosier State, and then the Buckeyes will obviously be able to make the trip over and already have. So, first of all, good evening, fellas. Good afternoon, late afternoon. It's been a hurry-up-and-wait kind of day, but it's kind of cool. It doesn't have the intensity of last week, of course, but it has some excitement. 1 versus 2. Never thought I would see or say that.
No doubt, Anthony and Tim May. Good to see both of you. Like, this is an awesome matchup. 1 versus 2. Okay, so the winner is not only the Big Ten champ, the winner is not only the number 1 seed in the CFP, but in my opinion, the winner, unless something crazy happens, the quarterback's winning the Heisman Trophy, whoever wins this game. Tim May, good to see you as always.
Glad to be here. I mean, I had Joshua Perry on my last podcast of the week yesterday, and but I brought that up to him. What I brought up to him wasn't all those things, because you can see that the winning quarterback tonight is probably going to win the Heisman Trophy, unless there's a huge, big upset, like you said, along the way in the next 24 hours. I've already voted on the Biletnikoff Award, so that's done. But
Jeremiah?
But the point, well, obviously, although the kid from Southern Cal is getting a lot of love. I mean,
obviously, last year he didn't even win it somehow.
Well, I know. But my point is, I mean, just nationally, I don't know why this game seems to be just sort of laying there from a hype standpoint. I mean, imagine 1 versus 2 in the Southeastern Conference championship game with the winning quarterback probably winning the Heisman Trophy. They would be crazy. And of course, as Joshua pointed out, well, there's a network that pretty much makes its living down there, and there are 3 networks that make their living up in Big Ten country. Past that, this should be a hell of a football game.
Yeah, I think to guess what the answer is outside of that bias, perhaps, it's that it's Indiana, and it's not Penn State, and it's not Michigan, and it's not – this is something that college football has not seen in forever, and at least in a lot of years. So Indiana has had some time in the 80s when they were very competitive and they've had some teams in the past that have taken Ohio State to the fourth quarter, just can't throw a knockout punch. They've never been this balanced. Like, they've had offense. They've had some great skill guys in the past, great quarterbacks in the past, but they've just never had the defense to hang with a team like Ohio State for 4 quarters. And I think that's the big part of tonight. I'm wondering, from your guys' standpoint, I said earlier this week that I believed that with no consequence in this game, technically, outside of just not winning a Big Ten championship, that both teams are going in and they're getting a bye, win or lose, unless Indiana, and I would always say Indiana because they're the dog in this game, unless they got smoked. And even then, I don't see them ever falling below Oregon because they beat Oregon on the road. So if there's no real consequence for the playoff, I would think both coaches would be able to coach this thing fairly aggressively. However, the defenses are getting a lot of respect in this game, maybe even more so than the offenses, because the total of this game is coming down. It was 48.5, 47.5. Now it's 46.5. So give me your feeling on whether you believe, why you believe that is, and is it just the obvious that the defenses are the ones that are getting all the respect as far as that?
Yeah, you look at this game, like a lot of people have been talking about both offenses, both quarterbacks. I've been guilty of that. You look at these defenses, Ohio State, number 1 defense in the country, and basically every reasonable metric, every metric that you would want to be number 1.
Turn it sideways, look at it. Oh, yeah, it still is.
Indiana, number 4 total defense in the country. And Indiana's offense, number 5 total offense in the country. So you have 2 of the top 4 defenses in the country, which I think is pretty rare for a 1 versus 2 game. But not just that, you have 2 really good offenses too. So, yeah, man, this is an Indiana team that doesn't have the depth of Ohio State, but certainly has the starters to make this a very good game. Guys, I won't be surprised. I'm picking Ohio State to win in a close game. I won't be surprised if Ohio State loses. I do think Ohio State will win, but won't be surprised if Indiana wins this game.
Are you going to go ahead and make your pick right now, or are you going to wait for 2 hours?
I'm gonna wait for my specific pick later.
Here's the way I'm looking at the, I don't pay that as much attention to those numbers as you guys do, because that's bettor's betting and the line reflecting it. But I will say this. I think Ohio State beat the spread last week, right?
They did.
Yeah.
As they usually do.
But was under, right? And it's mainly because
the team
of Ohio
total
State's,
was under, too.
Ohio State's defense.
Which might be the best defense I've ever seen in Ohio State.
Well, it's right there. Last year's was damn good.
Yeah.
But this one is too, in a different sort of way. But I think when I'm analyzing this thing, I see both offenses being in their own ways a little bit equal, except I think Ohio State has more lightning in its offense, as in Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. And I see both defenses playing extremely well, but I think Ohio State's is a cut above defensively. So if I'm looking at this game, that's what I'm looking at. The difference really is the defense and the possible big play possibilities in the passing game for Ohio State.
And the first time in a while, Ohio State doesn't have to worry about bad weather.
Right.
And they didn't really have bad weather till probably the Michigan game, and that wasn't even that bad.
No, it wasn't.
Didn't seem
as bad as it could have been.
Didn't seem to bother Jay Cole too much.
It was bad 3 hours after the game.
It was bad the day before when you're driving up there and then driving back.
It was great.
But I'm telling you, man, Ohio State.
If that had been qualifying time for that race, I would have been on pole.
This Ohio State team, not having to worry about weather, Julian could just go off tonight, or this really good Indiana defense. Indiana is a very good team. This is not one of those, they're ranked number 2. No, these are the 2 best teams in the country. I've watched Indiana a lot. I'm trying to find a weakness. I can't find a weakness. They're very good in all 3 levels. They're well coached. They don't have the depth of Ohio State. It's basically the only thing I can find.
Yeah, they dug their own holes in a couple of games, though, and came back and won them. And that's what's interesting. They needed some heroics against Iowa, and they needed definite heroics at Penn State. And, I know Mendoza got the credit for that play at the end that won that game, but really it was the wide receiver that made the play.
Omar Cooper Jr.
Unbelievable catch and tap. And
yes,
if Ohio State can get them in a little bit of a desperation mode like that, I just keep looking at Ohio State's defense as being the difference. I know that's easy to say. I think Ohio State's going to score points tonight to a certain extent. I think the idea is, can Indiana keep up?
Yeah. Do they have the depth defensively to hang with those NFL receivers that Ohio State's going to put on an indoor track tonight? It's
right.
It's the matchup of all matchups. And
don't forget Max Clare, Brandon Ennis, and Bo Jackson, for example, out of the backfield.
And then I just think this thing also is tilted for Ryan and coming off the national title and how he wants to coach and how he wants to let it loose a little bit.
Yep.
Like I said earlier, this is going to reward aggression tonight. Now, I'm not telling you.
Let me interrupt you. Ryan Day has left no doubt he wants the number 1 seed in the college football playoff.
He's definitely saying
and
that.
Really wants that Big Ten title.
When he states that stuff out loud, it is driving him.
What's the difference for him between the 1 seed and the 2 seed?
Number 1, bragging rights. Number 1. Number 2, they would go to the Rose Bowl again.
Yeah.
That's so that would be it. And you would theoretically, if a bracket is based like a bracket, you would get the best draw out of the first round, which would be 8 versus 9. Of course, that's what Oregon thought last year too.
That's what I mean, right? And so I think this is just part and parcel to him leaning into his confidence.
Yes.
I can't tell you I don't know if it's factual that he believes there's a massive difference between 1 and a 2 seed. I don't. I think it's.
I'm just telling you what he said.
No, I heard him this week say it.
Yeah.
I just feel like I don't know if it's that important in the end game.
And probably 3 seed, right, guys?
But I think it motivates his team into think he's a coach. He's motivating his squad.
Correct.
He doesn't want these guys thinking that it doesn't matter who wins this game.
Right.
And so I think it's leaning into that. And I think that's smart to do.
Let me throw a question out there to you. So Texas Tech just won convincingly. Ben Roberts, as I tweeted, have a day. Oh, my goodness.
Yes, sir.
They're in the top 4. I think slam dunk. I think both of these teams are in the top 4, but will 1 versus 2, will the loser drop to 4?
If loser would drop to 3, in my opinion, I would bet heavily on that. Like, it won't. And if you said 2, I could get down with that. There is no way the loser of this game tonight is going to drop to 4.
Yeah.
They will drop to 3. Unless it's 59-0. Hello, Wisconsin. No. They're not going to drop any further than 3rd. Because if you're Indiana and you lose this game by 10 points, let's say, you're not going to drop any further from 2 to 3, losing the number 1 team and coming in here 12-0. So then, if Georgia beats Alabama, then it comes down to, like, if you want to look ahead to if, like, chalk holds to the semifinals, would you rather play Texas Tech or would you rather play Georgia? That's kind of what it comes down to.
That's what I'm saying. Will the committee keep a rematch from occurring in the semifinals is what I'm talking about.
I think
you see what I'm talking about.
I think Georgia, if they win, will be the 2 seed. The winner of the Big Ten championship will be the number 1 seed, obviously.
1 seed.
And then the loser of the Big Ten championship will be the 3 seed. Texas Tech
stays
4 seed.
Yeah.
Oregon 5 seed. Ole Miss 6 seed. I think a lot of this is like already locked in.
Yeah,
I think it might be, but I'm telling you, with a committee, you never know about these things.
Yeah. And then we'll talk about it later, but the whole if or when Bama loses, where do they slide? And then how does that figure into Miami and Notre Dame?
Where do they slide?
All right.
That's a good word.
We will, the kickoff forecast is pretty easy. It's brought to you by Sunbelt Rentals. See why the Columbus Builders building Columbus lean on green. If you want to know what's going to be like outside Lucas Oil, it'll be about 30 degrees. Real feel 27. Inside 70,000 breathing human beings. I don't know.
Index.
Quick weather anecdote.
Yeah.
So I'm standing there on the field. I think it was 2020, 2019 Big Ten Media Days, and I'm looking at the up goalpost, and I'm going, the things have tassels on them at the top. And so I walked over to Harbaugh. I said, "Hey, look at Jim Harbaugh." I said, "Look at that." I said, "Did you ever know these goalposts have tassels on them?" And he looks up here. He goes, "No, I never knew that." He goes, "But I guess Vinatieri was a perfectionist." I mean, you're indoors, and there's a wind tassel at the top of the goalpost.
Routine, everything the same.
Everything the same.
We'll take you to Lucas Oil next and visit with the voice of the Buckeyes. We're just getting going. It's the Central Ohio Toyota Dealers Fan Tailgate Show. Visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places right here on The Fan.
If the sound of another man slammed against plexiglass turns you on, you've come to the right place. Proud to be your home for Jackets hockey. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Taking out the trash. Hey, Columbus, this is Zach Bourne. And Jacoby Bourne. When it comes to waste service, you want a team that knows how to deliver under pressure, just like Saturdays in the fall.
At Bourne Brothers Waste Services, our team is built on toughness, teamwork, and consistent execution.
We're the most reliable and customer service-focused waste company in Central Ohio.
Whether it is recycling, trash, construction waste, roll-off containers, front loads, or compactors, we have it handled.
Call now or visit BourneBrothers.com and let us tackle your waste needs. Taking out the trash.
Hey Columbus, it's Lorenzo Stiles Jr., Ohio State student athlete. Football runs deep in my family. My dad played here, and now my brother and I are proud to carry on that tradition. At Monogram Homes, family matters too. They treat every homeowner like one of their own, building with care, precision, and pride. Monogram doesn't just build houses, they build homes, crafted just for you. So whether you're starting your first home or designing your dream space, Monogram Homes has got your back every step of the way. Visit monogramhomes.net to start building today. Monogram Homes, a builder you can trust.
They're trained. They're fired up.
Let's do it.
When you need heat, they can't be beat. They're Ohio State's undefeated heating and cooling team. For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call the Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
It's Monday Night Football on the Fan. Catch the Eagles and Chargers live from L.A. Fan coverage starts Monday at 8.
Sponsored by Roosters, a fun casual joint.
Your radio home of the NFL. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Toyota Thonazon, and there's no better way to get in the spirit of the season than with a new Toyota, like the best-selling Toyota Camry. Now through January 5th, get 4.75 APR financing on remaining new 25 Camrys, or lease a new 26 Camry LE for $269 a month for 39 months with $36.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS, tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details, or go to toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Did you know Byers Airport Subaru is the oldest Subaru retailer in the entire country? And just like a veteran quarterback, we've been delivering winning drives for generations right here by the airport. At Byers, we treat every customer like part of the team because that's what keeps us in the game season after season. From tailgates to road trips, we've got the perfect Subaru to get you there. Kick off your next adventure at ColumbusSubaru.com or visit us by the airport. Byers Auto, driving the next generation of buyers.
When you're building a single-family house, multi-unit house, townhouse, penthouse, row house, or tiny house, lean on green. Sunbelt Rentals. The Columbus builders who are building Columbus do. They know they can rent the right equipment at the right price right now, thanks to the largest rental fleet and most rental locations in Columbus. All powered by people for equipment know-how, support, transport, and training. So no matter what you've got going in or going up, lean on green. Sunbelt Rentals. Learn more at sunbeltrentals.com.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Don't it feel good when your crowd behind you? You know what I'm saying?
You're listening to the Central Ohio Toyota Dealers Tailgate Show.
Visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And presented by Curtis & Associates and Mountain Dew.
Your home of the Buckeyes, the Fan. It's time for the Big Daddy Report with the voice of the Buckeyes, Paul Keels.
Sponsored by the Waterworks and Header Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Now together to serve you better. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
All right, back at Lucas Oil. It's been a minute for this man. He is Paul Keels, the voice of the Buckeyes. Coming off the massive rivalry game, and you ramp it back up, my friend. And there's some incredible history tonight, Paul, isn't there? The fact that the opponent is Indiana and the fact that this is a 1 versus 2 matchup in this conference. I know we got a hint of this last year when Indiana was a top 5 team, but they hadn't played this resume this year. Like, the resume this year is a lot stronger than it was last year. Give me your take on that, just on how you feel versus last year and this year with Indiana.
Well, Anthony, I agree with you. Their schedule was tougher this year than it was a year ago, and also their team is better than they were last year. It was kind of a little lightning in a bottle and may have caught some people off guard, but folks weren't really sitting back on their heels for this Indiana team this year. They had to go. They probably have what many people consider the single most impressive win of anybody in college football this year, going to Autzen Stadium and beating Oregon the way they did. And, you know, you can argue they shouldn't have been in the position they were in against Penn State, but they did what they needed to do to come from behind and win the football game. And here they are playing in the Big Ten championship game for the first time ever, just less than an hour away from their campus, hoping that they can get a better taste than what their basketball team was getting today at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, thanks to the Louisville Cardinals.
Big Daddy, what are you thinking about as far as the split of fans? Like, I'm thinking about 50-50. You're there. Like, what are your expectations?
Boy, you know, that would be good, Dave, if it was 50-50. I would anticipate it being 70-30, just because of the close proximity to IU's campus and because of all of the Indiana fans that permeate Indianapolis. We had a chance today just kind of through the downtown area to see some of the folks milling around. Now, a lot of them were folks that were going over to the basketball game, but I would expect that we're going to see more crimson than scarlet, but if it's 50-50, as you guessed, Dave, I think that would be a good thing.
You know what, you being an award-winning announcer, you'll be able to discern pretty easily between scarlet and crimson too, right, Paul?
What award does that involve? Did the eye doctor let me leave the office?
Yeah, exactly. No, I just wanted to give you and Jim kudos, man, on that awful announcement. What a name for an award or for a company sponsoring an award, but the awful announcing, naming you guys the number one play-by-play crew in college football.
The non-awful announcers.
That's pretty heady stuff. Don't you agree, Paul?
Well, Tim, thank you for saying that. And, you know, I was it took me a couple of days before I actually even read it. I thought it was a gag. The first person that messaged me about it was Tom Hamilton, and I thought he was pulling my leg. But, and then the second thing I thought is they were referring to our tailgate party, not our work on the air. But it's very flattering. But, you know, the important thing to point out about that, it's not just Jim and I. It's Skip, it's DR, it's Colin, it's Tyler, it's Ted Holbrook. It's, you know, all of the people that are involved in making this thing happen. So very flattered.
Hey, real quick, I mean, you were there last week. I mean, you could sense when both Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith not only were there, but were in the starting lineup. They brought an aura to the occasion. Now, of course, Julian Sayin threw his first pass to Carnell, and in his second pass toward Jeremiah Smith, that was intercepted. But the point was, the statement was made, these guys are back and stuff. And, boy, just, you know, you've been calling this, like we just pointed out, you've been calling this team for a long time. What does their impact, just their being there, for example, tonight, what does that do for Ohio State, do you think, from a Dauber standpoint?
Well, Tim, their presence gets the attention of the opposing coaching staff, and understandably so. And it affects how they're going to guard Ohio State on defense. And, you know, it forces the decision. Do you do single coverage? Do you do zone or man-to-man? And the other part of that, what does it open up for everybody else? You know,
right.
Bo Jackson doesn't get 22 carries on 117 yards if it's not for that outside threat. Max Clare doesn't get the catches that he gets if it's not for that. Maybe Brandon Ennis doesn't get that touchdown catch that he had if it's not for the threat that those guys bring. And now move into an indoor stadium, a fast track. We've seen in the past with guys like Devin Smith and Terry McLaurin, what they were able to do playing on this field inside this stadium with a quarterback or quarterbacks that could get them the ball the way those guys did and the way Julian Sayin can get these guys the ball.
Paul, this is the most healthy Ohio State team I can ever remember going into the 13th game of the season. We'll find out the availability report in about an hour, but wow, this team is healthy.
Well, and Dave, you know, that has a lot to do with how Ryan Day managed things in those last two home games. You know, there's a lot of thought, and you can even throw the Purdue game into that. Could Carnell Tate have played? Sure. Could he have played in the last two home games? Very possibly. Could Jeremiah Smith played in the Rutgers game? Possibly. But, you know, if you think back to how Ryan Day handled things last year, especially dividing the work between the two tailbacks, it was with the anticipation of a long season, also remembering what it was like not having Travion Henderson a few years ago, where they really could have used him when they got into that playoff game against Georgia. So it's been a lot of very good roster management as far as when to play people. And, you know, the other thing, too, and I can't remember the exact year. You guys might remember it off the top of your head, but there was one of those years when they really weren't able to get some of those one-sided wins early in the year to get a lot of people in the game. This year they were able to do that, you know, when you had the Grambling game, when you had the Ohio University game, and you had some of the Big Ten games. So they were able to get some of the guys further down the depth chart, some game reps that could pay off if and when those guys were needed.
Probably 2023.
That could be, yeah. But, you know, there weren't the one-sided scores, or at least the games didn't get in hand maybe as early as they had in the
There was
past.
a snap missing to the offense that year, and that snap moved on.
Yes.
Paul, do you feel that with no serious consequence for the loser of this game, that these coaches will be swinging for the fences, or is that counterintuitive to what coaches think going into games?
Well, here, Anthony, here's the thing that I politely disagree about with consequences. These teams want to win Big Ten championships. You know, Ohio State hasn't won one since the pandemic year of 2020. And we've heard all of the, you know, the things Ryan Day said about momentum. Indiana has not won a conference championship since '67 when they shared it with Purdue and Minnesota. They've not won an outright title since 1940. So I think that those things do matter to these two schools. Now, understand what you're saying about we all know that both these teams are going to be in the playoffs. They both are going to have first-round byes. But this could determine the number one seed, and certainly there is, from the Ohio State perspective, there's a favorable thought about going to the Rose Bowl as opposed to going to someplace else. There's also the way the field could be paired and who you would potentially play going round by round by round. So, and then let's not forget maybe the big elephant in the room, and that's the Heisman could be at stake in this game tonight.
Absolutely. By the way, I was going to ask about Curt Cignetti. I'm going to go ahead and ask about Curt Cignetti. Even you Heisman, you took me to another alley there and dropped me off. I do agree. I think it is up for grabs. In my mind, it is. I vote on the Heisman, so I'm not giving away my vote, but there's a hint. But
Same here. Same here.
Paul, do you like – I like Curt Cignetti and what he has brought to the table past the wins, if you follow my drift. I mean – there's just a refreshing feel about asking him questions or talking to him. I don't know if you agree or not. What's your take on Curt Cignetti?
Well, the first thing you think about with Curt Cignetti is just what he's done with a program that, even though Kevin Wilson and Tom Allen at different times had Indiana competitive in certain ways. Kevin Wilson had them competitive offensively. Tom Allen had them competitive defensively. They never seemed to be able to marry the two. But for him to do what he did last year, to take this program from where they perennially had been, I mean, Indiana was always hoping maybe every 4 or 5 years to get to a bowl game. Didn't matter where it was. But for them to be in the position they were last year and to be in the position they are this year, you could argue that this is maybe short-term the best coaching job in transition that's ever been done in the Big Ten. There are people that will say that, what Barry Alvarez did at Wisconsin, looking at, where they were when he got there and where he got them to, that was maybe one of the biggest ones. But in short term, you got to look at what Curt Cignetti's done. Now, he's if you try and figure him out by the tenor of his answers, you might be put off a little bit. If you listen to his answers, they're very well thought out, and they're very, I won't say provoking, but they're very upfront. I mean, we know what it's like to have head coaches that give you 5-10-second answers that, act like they don't want to be talking to you. And I think you all know what coaches that can pertain to.
Yes.
But he, and knowing the people and having asked some of the people at Indiana that deal with him, what he's like, they say that he's been an enjoyable person for them to work with and be around.
He shook the room. That's what he did when he got there. And I think he needed to take the paddles, shock that program a little bit, and he certainly did, and he's backed it up. Paul, looking forward to it, man. Thanks for the breakdown, and we'll hit you up at the end.
All right, guys, take care.
Thanks. That is Paul Keels, our segment sponsored by The Waterworks Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, now together to serve you better. All right, who will shine on that indoor track in Indy? We'll get to that next. This is the Central Ohio Toyota Dealers Fan Tailgate Show right here on The Fan.
Matty Ice is currently bathing himself in creamy jalapeno dip. And I've officially run out of ways to tease this show. Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays at noon.
The Fan.
Our clients deserve for us to care, and they deserve to feel serviced. They have questions, and they deserve answers. We're counselors first because I'm not selling them anything. I'm trying to teach clients how to protect themselves. At Curtis & Associates, we're personal injury attorneys. We've helped and continue to help hundreds and hundreds of clients every year. That's important to us. If you've been injured in an accident and it's not your fault, call now. 614-GOT-HURT. That's 614-GOT-HURT. Curtis & Associates, attorneys who care.
Hey Columbus, it's Lorenzo Styles Jr., Ohio State student athlete. It's football season, and just like on the field, success starts with the right game plan and the right team. That's why I'm proud to team up with Monogram Homes. They're the true custom home builder, bringing precision, creativity, and attention to every detail, just like we do on Saturdays. If you're ready to build, don't settle for standard. Go custom. Go Monogram. Visit monogramhomes.net to start building today. Monogram Homes, a builder you can trust.
Join the Fan weeknights at 6 for the Buckeye Show. And if you're asking if it's just a bunch of homers rooting for all things Ohio State, yes it is. Proud to be your flagship home of the Buckeyes, the Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Are you ready to love your home again? Closets by Design wants you to imagine a beautifully organized custom closet, home office, garage, and more. Turn any crowded space into what might become your favorite room in the house. Right now, Closets by Design is offering 40% off, plus an extra 15% off and free installation. Call 800-BY-DESIGN or visit closetsbydesign.com for a free in-home consultation today. Get organized with 40% off, plus 15% off and free installation at closetsbydesign.com.
If I'd had to wait even 5 more minutes, I would have lost my nerve and left.
Whether drugs, alcohol, or gambling, our team of experts at Maryhaven understands that if you need help, you need it now. That's why we offer 24-hour access to detox, same-day walk-in appointments, confidential coaching for gambling issues, compassionate care for people throughout Ohio. Don't wait. Get help today at maryhaven.com.
This is the Fans Game Day Scoreboard.
This game day update is sponsored by Mutual Federal, proudly serving Columbus with personal and business solutions at mutualfederal.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Dylan Gonzalez. For the first time in the conference's history, the Big Ten Championship will be a matchup of the top two teams in the country when Ohio State takes on Indiana tonight in Indianapolis. Keep it on the Fan for coverage leading up to the game and kickoff at 8 o'clock. The Ohio State basketball team went on the road and beat Northwestern 86-82 in their first conference game this season. Brandon Knoll led all scorers with 29 points. Back to football, Texas Tech is your Big 12 champion this year, beating BYU 34-7. Western Michigan is your MAC champion. They defeated Miami of Ohio 23-13. Georgia is currently leading Alabama in the SEC championship game down in Atlanta 7-0 in the second quarter. Duke and Virginia will kick off for the ACC crown at 8 o'clock in Charlotte. Breaking sports news when it happens right here on the Fan, Ohio sports destination.
This is the Central Ohio Toyota Dealers Tailgate Show.
Visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And presented by Curtis and Associates and Mountain Dew.
Your forever flagship home of Ohio State athletics. The Fan. He's so money.
Sponsored by Kemba Financial Credit Union.
Yeah, this will be a good one. I think it has to be. Two quarterbacks, leaders of the Heisman. The fact that, Indiana's got a, pretty good offensive line to try to protect him. In fact, one of the kids, Carter Smith from Olentangy Liberty, that's got to be an interesting feeling for his family now.
Absolutely. And I saw, Anthony, that The Athletic came out with a story earlier this week ranking the best offensive lines in college football. They had Indiana number 1 in the entire country. They had Ohio State number 3. So we're looking at two of the best offensive lines in the country. And this was just one guy's opinion, but still, he does a good job with The Athletic. I think his name is Nick Baumgartner, and he has Indiana as the best O-line, Ohio State number 3.
How about Ohio State? No first team, all Big Ten offensive linemen.
You saw my text when we got that. If there are 5 offensive linemen in the Big Ten better than Austin Saraveld, my name is Tim May.
That's correct. That's a slight.
I only have 5 more questions.
That will be on their board before they take the field. I guarantee you that.
Is Austin Saraveld not a first team?
I don't know. I don't know when they did maybe they must have done their voting on August the 31st.
Although anytime I see the media vote, I know I'm guilty too. But I think of Jim Tressel back in 2007 when Todd Beckman was honorable mention All Big Ten by the coaches. He was first team All Big Ten by the media, and Coach Tressel was asked about that. He's like, "You guys voted him first team. This is why the coaches know a lot more than you guys."
That's right.
He was talking trash about his own quarterback.
Oh yeah.
That he was going to replace the next year with a true freshman.
Hey, I want to ask you this, Anthony. I mean, you went to school there. You got a little degree there, and you even did a play-by-play game there one time. I think you told me in 1987 when they beat Michigan in the rain, if I'm regurgitating all this correctly. My point is this, as Paul brought it up a while ago, this is the best Indiana team in history. Agreed?
It's a low bar, but yes. Sorry, Anthony.
Wait a minute. Why would you hesitate? How would it?
No,
67 got to the
I'm really not hesitating.
How would it not? You're still dumbfounded.
No, I'm dumbfounded. I'm also going to admit that Indiana football is not something that even a lot of alum really cared to really dive into and follow and to compare.
That's been obvious by some of the tweets this week.
Yeah,
go ahead.
So it's been one of those times where Indiana, I think I said at the very beginning of the show, and I think Paul echoed it, they've never been balanced. They've just never. We've had Anthony Thompson. There's been Ernie Jones. There's been guys, Von Dumper.
The Kevin Wilson era. You guys were really good at you guys. Indiana was really good at offense, but couldn't play defense. You're right. Yeah. And this Indiana team, you're like, okay, they got the number 5 offense in the country. Really good.
Right.
By the way, they have the number 4 total defense in the country. They're even better on defense than they are offensively.
I think that
statistically speaking.
I think that 88 team was about as close. I think the last 2 years have been the 2 best teams in Indiana history. But I thought the 88 team was pretty good under, Bill Mallory in his prime over there and stuff. And but I'm just, we all know Earl Bruce calling the loss to Indiana in 87 the darkest day in Ohio State history. Yeah. Ohio State history, not Ohio State football history, as I remind people. And then in 88, my lead the next day after Anthony Thompson just bushwhacked Ohio State over there. I mean, there were a couple of guys on Ohio State's team that were hurt that were trying to tackle going backwards because they were so banged up and stuff. But I said a new day has dawned in the Big Ten, and it had. But it quickly eclipsed, in the next several years.
And I think you called it Darkest Day 2 because it was Darkest Day 1.
Well, it was Darkest Day for sure.
You're like, okay, this is Darkest Day 2. If the previous year was Darkest Day 1.
But I just called it a new dawn.
Indiana has not won since then, but as I said, Anthony, like, I'm not just saying this because you are an Indiana grad. I'm picking Ohio State to win. I will not be surprised if Indiana
I can't
wins
wait
this
to
game.
get to the picks
They're
when he
a
actually makes
really
his pick.
Good team, and they don't have any weaknesses. I've been studying this team hard. They are good at every level. They don't have the depth of Ohio State.
Yeah.
But this is a really good team. These are not just the top 2 ranked teams in the country. These are the 2 best teams in the country. If you look at like the analytics, like SP Plus, and it's not even close. These are the 2 best teams in the country. We're going to have a heck of a good
Just
game
going
tonight.
in, this game is going to turn on a big play here or there, maybe a couple. I mean, because they are fairly well. I think this is as close as Indiana's ever been to like competition for Ohio State these last 2 years, and but it's still going to turn on a big player too. That's the way these games always operate.
Yeah, it's funny because I look at it as certainly they're balanced, but I just keep coming back to the talent discrepancy on paper. That's all. Indiana certainly could give them a game, and I expect them to maybe take them to 4 quarters tonight.
Yeah.
But it's the 8 starters on Indiana that came out of high school with 0 stars. Now, a lot of these guys, I think maybe a baker's dozen of them transferred in from JMU that first year. What Indiana does have going for themselves, I think, tonight is they've got some experience. They've got some upperclassmen. They've got some guys that have been around. They have that
And they're
feel.
very well coached.
And he's got them believing, right? A part of it is, and I would know of every Indiana team of the past that had chances to upset them that didn't. It was because they didn't believe. Probably they did in the game, but I think he is like Tim Point. He has interjected this feeling that he doesn't back down. Now, he did it very abruptly and probably stupidly at the beginning when he was hired.
No, not stupidly.
But that's at a pep rally, and that's to stir the room, and that's to make the fans and the students feel like we're not good to a point. Like, I think he wanted to crack through that glass ceiling.
We were both at, maybe all 3 of us were at Big Ten Media Days in 2024 with the famous, all I do is win, Google me. I literally had people all around me, reporters, laughing. Like, who does this guy think he is? Does he not know he's at Indiana? They have the worst, winning percentage in Big Ten history. And it's like, Google him now.
Let me put it this way: at the media soiree way back when Lou Tepper was a first-year head coach at Illinois, his big line was, "The biggest play in football is the punt." And so I think Google me trumps that big time. If you follow
Jim
my
Tressel
drill.
stole that from him?
Oh no, Jim Tressel took me into his office one time after saying that and me making fun of it, and showed me the book by Wiltz, John W. Wiltz, on his that was on his. In his bookshelf, and opened up the chapter, the biggest, most important play in football is the punt. That was an actual chapter in the book.
I always give Jim Tressel
that was
credit for that.
That was in the teens and
20s.
But here's what I like about Cignetti. What Cignetti has done, and in kind, so has Indiana. And this year, the exploitation of that is Texas Tech is, yes, not only can you change your fortunes, you can do them in a heartbeat. And that's what Cignetti has brought to the fore for all of these schools that are now firing their coaches.
He had an instant culture.
Yeah, he had an instant culture. But past that, this guy, they got into the transfer portal. Yeah, he brought a bunch of guys with him from James Madison. They've gotten guys from elsewhere, too, including their starting quarterback again this year in Fernando Mendoza. That's why I thought they were going to be better than last year, but they had a much tougher schedule this year.
I absolutely love that he's staying
finish.
There. Yeah, go
they
ahead.
have a great... They evaluate talent and how it fits into what they want to do as well as anybody, if not better than anybody in the country.
No doubt about it, Tim. And I'm so glad he's staying. No dog in the fight as far as Indiana football is concerned. I think it's awesome that he's staying there. Let's say he would have taken the job at Penn State. Penn State did look at him, right? And let's say they offered him even more money than what Indiana's paying him, generational money. Let's say they gave him a little bit more money than that. Why leave, man? You're they're going to name it Cignetti Stadium.
I don't even think that's the reason you stay.
And it's a beautiful campus, as you know, Anthony.
Yeah.
You've already had those 2 years. Why leave for maybe $1 million extra when you're a legend there? You're comfortable. It's a great town. You have no pressure on you.
So here's the reason to leave and the reason not to leave. If you take money out of it, the reason to leave would have been if he felt like he could compete and win a national title and recruit better players to Penn State than he could Indiana. I think that we've answered that a little bit.
Bingo.
That in this era, you can stay at Indiana and win a title. I think when Luke Fickell was at Cincinnati, and he actually made the playoff, but I think right before that, I kept thinking, boy, if he ever really wants to be in this, like if it never expanded, you're not going to win a title at Cincinnati. Like I just like now in a 12-team playoff, and it might go to 16 and then more. Like you don't have to leave. Now you still have to get the players. You have to have the money to get the players, and to get the money, you need excitement, and that's what he has. So how long is that sustainable? Maybe forever if he keeps getting at bats at the Big Ten. But it is David versus Goliath for Brand. It is. There's no way around that. But he does not even entertain those thoughts.
And there's no like middle ground here. He just, and yeah, I know Google me, but seriously, he just wins like every year, no matter where he's at. Indiana University of Pennsylvania, Elon, James Madison, now at Indiana. He goes 11-2 to Indiana last year. His only 2 losses are to the national champion and to the national runner-up. People are like, "Oh, that's a fluke. That's a fluke." The very next year,
only 2 losses
get better, and like it's one of, and everybody knows it's a cool story and like massively important. It's seriously one of like the coolest stories in sports in the last 5 or 6 years, in my opinion. What Cignetti has done at Indiana.
I agree 155%. That's as far as I can go. By the way, when he was at Elon, was their nickname the Musks?
They should.
The Elon Musks?
They should be.
Or it's Musks, plural
the Mars rockets.
Maybe he, when he was at Bama, it just that championship feel got to, maybe, that time was.
Yeah, he was on Saban's first staff.
I don't want to interrupt you, Anthony, but what he did when he was at Bama, you know what he did? He paid attention.
Yeah.
He paid attention to what Nick Saban was all about.
No doubt.
And what Alabama was all about. When you get to Indiana, one of his stipulations was, got to get this NIL thing going, man. I mean, it was not there. It was. They've got their NIL thing going.
Another guy.
And I'm just interested to see how much things have changed at Indiana. If I hate to say this, it sounds like blasphemy, but has Indiana suddenly become a football school because it's a lot more fun?
I mean, just like Michigan's become a basketball school, maybe India's now become a football school. And Cignetti's another one of these guys, like his dad was a football coach. You see this all the time. His dad was a football coach. Bam, son is a good football coach.
Well, Francis Gates of Mercy Schmidt was also a basketball coach.
Listen, March Madness is fun, right? But tailgating every Saturday for football in a true college town, there's nothing better.
Yeah.
And that's what he's got going. Now, he got a taste of this last year in Columbus, and he had to coach it a little more conservatively because he didn't have the resume that if he got thrashed by the Buckeyes that he was still getting in. And I saw it. I think he shelled up a little bit after that punt. And he played to make sure it was somewhat within respect.
Presentable.
Now I think they got another bite at it, and we'll see how aggressive he gets tonight. All right. He's So Money, sponsored by Kemba Financial Credit Union. We'll come back, and we'll talk about that Ohio State offensive line and getting that running game going. And can they run it against Indiana? We'll ask our friend Jim Lachey. This is the Central Ohio Toyota Dealers Fan Tailgate Show. Visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places right here on The Fan.
We test marketed naming the show A Guy and His Butlers.
Oh, that is very touching.
But we thought Bishop and Friends had a better ring to it.
Weekday mornings at 9.
The Fan.
Hey, you mind keeping it down up there, please?
KeyBank will meet you in that I need new neighbors moment.
Rick, it's your mortgage loan officer, Beth. I was in the neighborhood and wanted to let you know your home loan application's been approved.
Beth, you're always there for me, and not a moment too soon.
Are your neighbors bowling with grand pianos again?
And apparently raising livestock?
Ooh.
For every financial need, we'll meet you in the moment. KeyBank opens doors. Equal housing lender. NMLS number 399797.
Toyotathon is on, and there's no better way to get in the spirit of the season than with a new Toyota. Now through January 5th, get 4.75 APR financing on any remaining new 25 RAV4 or RAV4 hybrid. Or lease a new gas-powered RAV4 LE for $279 a month for 39 months with $39.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS, tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details or go to Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Hey Columbus, it's Lorenzo Styles Jr., Ohio State student athlete. Football runs deep in my family. My dad played here, and now my brother and I are proud to carry on that tradition. At Monogram Homes, family matters too. They treat every homeowner like one of their own, building with care, precision, and pride. Monogram doesn't just build houses, they build homes, crafted just for you. So whether you're starting your first home, designing your dream space, Monogram Homes has got your back every step of the way. Visit monogramhomes.net to start building today. Monogram Homes, a builder you can trust.
It's Sunday Night Football on the Fan 2. Catch the Texans and Chiefs live from Arrowhead. Fan coverage starts Sunday at 7:30 on 1460 AM and the Fan's HD2.
Sponsored by Roosters, a fun casual joint.
Your radio home of the NFL, the Fan.
They're trained. They're fired up.
Let's do it.
When you need heat, they can't be beat. They're Ohio State's undefeated heating and cooling team. For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call the Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
We're back to football talk, but before we kick off, a quick thanks to Bob and the team at Worthington Jewelers.
Thanks, Common Man. Whether it's game day or every day, we're here to help you celebrate life's biggest moments.
Worthington Jewelers, your hometown jeweler.
What he said. Hi, Bob Capace from Worthington Jewelers. Coming up, more football talk on the Fan.
That's right, Bob. And just like our hometown team, Worthington Jewelers is all about tradition, family, and winning moments.
Celebrate your victories with us, your hometown jeweler, Worthington Jewelers.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Into Central Ohio, I'm 10 Weather Impact meteorologist Michael Behrens with your latest forecast. We're looking at quiet weather for tonight. Cloudy skies, maybe a flurry or two. Temperature down in the upper 20s. As we head into Sunday, we'll see a little bit of rain-snow mix. Temperatures in the mid to upper 30s. We'll cool down again to around 20 Sunday night with quiet weather Monday and some sunshine coming through. That's your latest 10 Weather Impact forecast. I'm meteorologist Michael Behrens on 97.1 The Fan.
We've been your Jackets flagship station since day one. All the goals, all the action, all the memories. Your home for the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Fan, Ohio sports destination.
That was one hell of a game, huh?
Start ringing that victory bell. This is the Central Ohio Toyota Dealers Tailgate Show.
Visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And presented by Curtis and Associates and Mountain Dew.
Your home for Ohio State athletics, the Fan. It's time to check in with Buckeye color analyst and president of the Large Hand Society, Jim Lachey.
Sponsored by Ohio State Army ROTC. Leadership starts here. Visit arotc.osu.edu.
All right, we keep it rolling as we go back to Indy and join our guy, Jim Lachey, the former All-American analyst here on The Fan. He'll have a bird's eye view for this one. Good to have you, Jim. How you feeling?
Great to be with you, Anthony. I'm feeling good. The Redskins won today, picked up their 7th state championship, so I got to watch my high school and listen to that game and, cheer those guys on this morning on the ride over here to Indianapolis. And now I get a Big Ten championship game at night against the Buckeyes in Indiana, so it's a pretty good day of football for old Jim Lachey.
Good for you, my man.
St. Henry.
All right.
What do you mean old?
St. Henry.
Yeah, I think that was O-L-E. Old Jim Lachey.
Yeah.
All right. How do you feel about the intensity of tonight? Because it's not an elimination game. It's not a one and done. I guess we could talk about it like a playoff game. It is 1 versus 2, so it has built-in heavyweight title fight kind of feel. But kind of put yourself in these guys' shoes. You come back off the rivalry game. You ramp it up for a conference title. How intense do you feel this will be?
Well, you got 2 undefeated teams, 1 and 2. And, Ohio State opened the season against the number 2 team in the country and took care of business and won the next 11. And I don't think the formula changes. The feeling changes. They want to take care of business each and every week. Coach Day talked about last week, going into Michigan, this is a trophy game, win the gold pants. They knocked that off, checked that off the list. Now a Big Ten championship. They're hoping to check that off the list tonight against a team that has played really, really good the last 2 years. What are they, 23-2 since Coach Cignetti took over? Just an incredible record what Indiana has been able to put out there in the field. And, Ohio State, still wants to show them who's the boss, right? We're number 1. We're good for a reason. We won a national championship. So this is an opportunity for Ohio State to go take care of business, to be the Big Ten champion, to raise a trophy at the end of the game. And as we know, there's individual awards that are out there, especially when you talk about the Heisman Trophy getting voted on. Sunday and Monday. So there's a lot that goes into this stake. And I don't think, I can say if I was an offensive lineman, I would want my quarterback to win it. So I'm going to do whatever I take to get it done. You got Bo Jackson sitting there 48 yards from 1,000. Be great to get that freshman 1,000 yards and have a big game. And he's had some big games. So I think they're excited for this opportunity, just like all year long. They're going to get a chance to play. This class, they didn't beat Michigan. And then they checked that off the list. They haven't played in a Big Ten championship. Now they're here. I can say if we were here 4 or 5 years in a row, I'm like, okay, here we go. We're back at Indy. But that's not the case. This team, this is all fresh for them. This is, a new experience, so to speak. So I think they want to go out there and take care of business.
Jim, tons of talent on both sides. I did read a story today that had Indiana as the number 1 offensive line in the country, Ohio State as the number 3 offensive line in the country. That has to, has to hit home with you pretty well. So a couple of good offensive lines here.
Yeah, they are. I mean, obviously Carter Smith out of Powell, Ohio, has played awful well throughout his career. Pat Coogan played at Notre Dame. He's gone against Buckeyes several times throughout his career. Always been on the wrong end of that one. Khalil Benson, who transferred back to Indiana. Feels like it's going some good things. It looks like maybe Drew Evans, number 62, is going to be back in action. He missed a couple games. But usually when your offense does well, puts up numbers, 229 yards in the air, 200 or on the ground, 254 passing, that's you got to have an offensive line to operate. It's not just all Mendoza and the running backs and the wide receivers. You got to have time to do that. And this offensive line for Indiana's done that. Same with Ohio State. I think these guys are coming off their best performance of the season, last week against Michigan. Played some, bully ball, so to speak, especially in that second half, where they're able to run the football in that 20-play drive and, just melt the clock. So I think they both, have stood out and had some good games. Ohio State, obviously there were some situations with the right guard throughout the course of the year, the right side, but I think they really played well last week. So the old adage, you do it once, you got to do it again. We've seen it. It's on film now. You can do this. Now they have to repeat that performance against an Indiana team that, likes to slant a lot, angle, blitz. They like to move those guys around. So Ohio State's going to have to be really good at the point of attack on the line of scrimmage, making sure that they protect, their running back so they can get to that second level and make some plays and protect the quarterback, which Ohio State just giving up 6 sacks. Number 2 in the country to number 1 is Army. And guess what, guys? They don't throw the ball that much. So, this is an offensive line that's done a fantastic job all year, and they're going to have to continue to do that again tonight.
Yeah, especially let's zero in on a position that you just talked about, right guard, but Tegra Shabola. My goodness. Now he came on after the Michigan game last year, obviously in the 4-game playoff, and played, I thought, very well. But wow, did he have a game last week, Jim? I mean, and just nonchalantly walked off the field afterwards, and we didn't get to talk to him. At least I didn't. But he's boy, if he's really come alive, like the old saying goes, as Coach Cooper used to say, he surpasses a look test. But Tegra Shabola may have found his mojo again. What do you think?
Well, he's got 27 starts underneath his belt. So it's not like he's not been out there. He's been out there. There's just been some inconsistencies.
Right.
And, I think he would admit to that. But I think, he's maybe taken that next step. And, I've noticed the last several weeks over there at practice, post-practice, he's working with Matt Patricia, of all people.
Exactly.
And getting some extra, like, hey, what are you having problems with? Let's work on it. Let's talk about it. And just, getting, to hear a different voice in his head. And I think that's really paid off for him. Ethan Oniawa has also been over there working with Matt Patricia post-practice, just putting any extra time. So the 1-2 is there, right? I mean, if you don't want to play, you won't do that. He wants to do it. He wants to be better. He wants to be counted on. And I think that's kind of paid off for him. Obviously Tyler Bowen and Charlie Dickey and Marcus Johnson have all did a fantastic job getting them to this point. But sometimes you just need another voice. And, I think that's paid off for Tegra. And it did last week, and that's going to have to continue again this week.
Yeah, I want to follow up on that. I mean, we get Kenyatta Jackson. We're talking to him this week, and he's talked about how Matt Patricia, basically struck up a friendship, for one of another term, with him, an interest in him from the get-go, and talks to him every week in all kinds of ways. And, I don't mean to just make Matt Patricia something bigger than he is. But, I mean, what an influence he has had on this football team. Because as like Kenyatta Jackson said, he had never spoken to a defensive coordinator before in those kind of ways, especially the last couple of years and stuff. But it is interesting the impact that Matt Patricia has had on both sides of the football, isn't it?
It is. I mean, and that just shows what kind of person he is, what kind of coach he is. He cares about the players. And, the old adage, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And they know that Matt Patricia cares about him, wants to help him out, get him through some difficult times. And, just to sit there and talk ball with him, you're having problems with the bull rush. Let me see your set. Let me see what you're doing with your hands. You're having trouble cutting guys off. Well, let me see your first step. Let's talk about this. And, again, just to have another voice, the offensive line coach can be yelling at them until they're blue in the face, but sometimes it just takes somebody else to come in a calm voice and just say, "Hey, I want to help you."
Yeah.
And
the guy down the street
able to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And credit to Matt Patricia. He didn't have to do that. That's not in his job description, but he wants to help his team win, so he's going to do whatever it takes to help different position groups. And let's face it, this is a guy that's coached, Super Bowl champions. He's been an offensive coordinator, certainly been a great defensive coordinator. He's been a head coach. He's been a general manager. So he's got a lot of different things, football knowledge-wise, that he can offer to a player. And I think it's wise that these guys are going up to him and asking him, hey, how can I get better? What do I need to do to if I am having difficulties with a certain segment of my game? How can I become better at this? And that's great that he's offering that advice and spending time with people, and that's it. That's what it is. I mean, taking the time to do it.
Yes.
And we didn't hear that about Jim Knowles.
No.
And I'm sure that Jim has a lot of knowledge about offensive line too, but it just wasn't offered up. Matt's been able to do that, and that's why he's probably one of the top candidates for the the Broyles Award for the top assistant coach in the nation. What he's been able to do to affect the Ohio State's defense. It's been number one in 3 out of 4 of the top categories, when you look at a defense. And, he's affecting the rest of the team, too. So that's a good guy to have on your staff. That he does that. It was a good hire by Ryan Day. And it certainly looks like he's meshed well with his staff and with his team.
Yep. Yeah, it's been incredible. Looking forward to it, Jim. Thanks so much for the analysis, bud. Enjoy it.
I am, too. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
Thanks. That is Jim Lachey. Our segment with Jimmy presented by Ohio State Army ROTC. Leadership starts here. Visit arotc.osu.edu. All right. If Indiana does have a weakness, it is this. And I will tell you next. And if it is this tonight, Ohio State is certainly the team that can exploit it. We'll give you that stat next. This is the Kurgis & Associates Fan Tailgate Show. Remember, they don't get paid unless you get paid right here on The Fan.
All the 10 TV people come over to our side of the building to take a deuce. That should tell you something about how we operate. The Fan.
They say glory is earned, not given. We say it's ignited by heart and ends with a boom. Get your tickets today at BlueJackets.com.
Hey Columbus, it's Lorenzo Styles Jr., Ohio State student athlete. It's football season, and just like on the field, success starts with the right game plan and the right team. That's why I'm proud to team up with Monogram Homes. They're the true custom home builder, bringing precision, creativity, and attention to every detail, just like we do on Saturdays. If you're ready to build, don't settle for standard. Go custom. Go Monogram. Visit monogramhomes.net to start building today. Monogram Homes. A builder you can trust.
When you're building a nursery school, elementary school, charter school, high school, vocational school, or jiu-jitsu school, lean on green. Sunbelt Rentals. With the largest rental fleet and most rental locations in Columbus, you can count on us to get you the right equipment at the right price right now. No matter what you got going in or going up. All powered by people. For equipment know-how, support, transport, and training. No wonder the Columbus builders who are building Columbus lean on green. Sunbelt Rentals. Learn more at sunbeltrentals.com.
T-Bone's an expert at making mornings better. He brought back the bagel sandwiches at McDonald's. He feeds birds out of his mouth. And he hosts a radio show guaranteed to make you smile. Yay, T-Bone. Yes. T-Bone and Tyvis.
Weekday mornings at 6.
The Fan.
Celebrate in style at Diamond Seller's Holiday Gala. From December 4th through the 6th, discover the season's most sought-after jewelry and timepieces with up to 25% off the brands you know and love. Enjoy 3 days of unforgettable finds, spectacular diamonds, renowned fashion brands, and world-class watches all under one roof. Enjoy up to 25% off at Diamond Seller's Holiday Gala, December 4th through the 6th at our Salmo Road and Easton locations. Visit diamondseller.com/gala to learn more.
Call the folks at Buckeye, night or day. Hi, this is Max with Buckeye Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. We want to wish the community, our clients, and our team a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. We're incredibly thankful to serve such a great community with such an amazing team. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being you. And when you need us, call 614-683-9911. Call the folks at Buckeye, night or day.
Bobcat Enterprises says thank you for your support as they celebrate 50 years of serving the construction industry. Established in 1975 in Cincinnati, Bobcat Enterprises has expanded to 9 stores to meet you where you are in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. Find equipment for any construction project, including compact track loaders and excavators. Plus, Bobcat Enterprises rents compact equipment and attachments. Find current specials and locations at bobcatent.com or follow Bobcat Enterprises Inc. on Facebook. Bobcat Enterprises, 50 years working for you.
They say glory is earned, not given. We say it's ignited by heart and ends with a boom. Get your tickets today at BlueJackets.com.
This is the Fans Game Day Scoreboard.
This game day update is sponsored by Mutual Federal, proudly serving Columbus with personal and business solutions at mutualfederal.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Dylan Gonzalez. For the first time in the conference's history, the Big Ten Championship will be a matchup of the top 2 teams in the country when Ohio State takes on Indiana tonight in Indianapolis. Keep it on the Fan for coverage leading up to the game and kickoff at 8 o'clock. The Ohio State basketball team went on the road and beat Northwestern 86-82 in their first conference game this season. Brandon Knoll led all scorers with 29 points. Now back to football. Texas Tech is your Big 12 champion this year, defeating BYU 34-7. Western Michigan won the MAC. They defeated Miami of Ohio 23-13. Georgia is currently leading Alabama in the SEC championship game down in Atlanta 14-0 late in the second quarter. And Duke and Virginia will square off for the ACC crown at 8 o'clock in Charlotte. Breaking sports news when it happens right here on the Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Bring the energy. It's game day, Buckeye fans. You're listening to the Central Ohio Toyota Dealers Tailgate Show.
Visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And presented by Curtis and Associates and Mountain Dew.
Your home of the Buckeyes, the Fan.
Back at it here on the Tailgate Show. Anthony Rothman and my boys Dave Biddle and Tim May, the Toyota Fan Tailgate Show, presented by Mountain Dew. So Indiana has a very good defense. A lot of people describe it as strong. But they do rank barely inside the top 100 in passes thrown 15 yards or more downfield.
I knew you were going there.
So their pass rush is pretty good. Most defenses against Ohio State this year have tried, most generally speaking, have tried to just cover. We're not blitzing him. We're going to get burned. We'll drop as many as we can back, and then we got a guard for 8 to 10 seconds. Maybe we can defend it, and it hasn't worked against Julian Sain. Indiana's pass rush has been pretty good this year, and it does offset a lot of that. But I think against that O-line you're talking about from Ohio State and how strong that's been, now maybe with even more of a chip on their shoulder without getting a first teamer, that and here's the last part of this equation. Julian Sain on passes thrown 15 yards or more is numero uno.
Oh yeah, baby.
And now you throw 2 NFL type receivers at Indiana who ranks 93rd in passes defended of 15 yards or more. And you just wonder whether Angelo Pons or these guys, can they keep up over 4 quarters? I'm sure they'll have some breakups. I'm sure that they will play to a pretty high ability. But if this really strong defense of Indiana's has a weakness, it's not the weakness you want to have against this team.
Especially when especially when Julian Sand is so accurate with the deep ball, Anthony, and Ohio State is so deadly with the deep ball. It'd be one thing if they were like, Ohio State's a really good offense, they can throw up, but they're so on the deep ball. You could argue Julian Sand's best thing is the deep ball. He's got the 2 best wide receivers in the country, and this is a very good Indiana defense. This will be the best defense Ohio State's faced. They're the number 4 defense in the country, but that is troublesome for the Hoosiers.
Ohio State has faced a defense with really good personnel. Texas was one of them. But here's the thing. Like you just pointed out, the percentage, and Dave talked about Julian saying how good he is on deep ball. But, man, where Julian Sand stands out last week, the play, I know the 4th and 5, that will stick in Buckeye lore forever, that play, Jeremiah Smith. But the dagger was the 50-yarder to Carnell Tate when suddenly Michigan went another direction with his coverage on one freaking play, and Julian Sand and Carnell Tate made them pay for it on the 50-yard.
And that was ball game.
That was ball game.
Yeah.
And that's what's been so good about this offense is, boy, when you give them that shot, it's almost, it's not knocking on wood because, we're not playing for them or whatever you want to call it, but the bottom line is Ohio State has made you pay almost every time on deep balls. And in my opinion, not only do they make you pay when you blow the coverage, but they have in my humble opinion, the 2 best receivers for battling for a ball, for a 50-50 ball, which I don't call them 50-50 balls, with Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. They have the 2 best receivers in that regard in the country.
And Indiana's got 2 fantastic receivers, too.
Yes.
I saw, the Athletic did
Becker was the one that made the catch on the sideline against Penn State.
Yeah, and then you had, obviously, Cooper was the one that had the touchdown. Surratt's, fantastic. So the
they
Athletic
didn't have him in that game either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the Athletic did a story. Dane Brugler does a great job. He ranked the top 25 draft-eligible prospects just in this game. How often is there going to be, 25 guys that are going to be drafted in one game? This is one of them. So it didn't even include guys like Julian Sand and Jeremiah Smith and Bo Jackson. Ohio State had 16 of the 25, but still Indiana's very talented, very talented. They might have the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Some are saying the Browns might trade up to get Fernando Mendoza. So we'll see what happens. This is going to be a lot of fun tonight. We have the number 1 seed on the line. We have the Big Ten championship on the line, and very, very likely, I'm 99% sure on this, we have the Heisman Trophy on the line. Is there a chance Pavia could get it? Yes. If both quarterbacks play terrible tonight and Ohio State or Indiana wins because of their defense and both quarterbacks have 3 interceptions, all right. I can see. On one of my betting apps, Pavia has a better chance of winning the Heisman than Sand. So I was okay, I'll double down on that.
Extremely weird.
Then I placed another bet on Sand to win the Heisman.
Yeah.
So it's so much is online tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun, my friends.
Yeah, but getting back to what you're just talking about, I mean, this game will turn on those kind of plays. I mean, what you always find, barring just ridiculous turnovers, ball getting punched out, things like that, you finally find in a game like this the weak link in the chain. Again, where's that weak link on Indiana? Where is it on Ohio State? I mean, Ohio State's got about as stout a chain as I've seen on both sides of the ball. Indiana has some guys like you just talked about who weren't very well thought of coming out of high school, but they've developed into big-time players. But there's a reason, either the stopwatch told a different story, the size told a different story. I mean, their middle guard, though, what is he, 6 foot, 320 pounds? I mean,
yeah, he's really
he
good.
looks round.
They've got 3 really good.
So they've got guys that will play and compete hard, but you will find that weak link if you keep looking for it. As Tom Herman used to say, the answer is there. Just keep looking for it.
And I know Indiana struggled against Penn State. People are we'll focus on that one game. But as you guys have said, both of you have said, and I agree with this, the best win in college football this year in the regular season was Indiana going to Autzen, which is one of the toughest places to play in the country. If they had beaten that Oregon team in Bloomington by 10, I'd be that's a really good win. To go to Oregon and beat Oregon by 10 points, that was a heck of a good win. And I know maybe they were fortunate to beat Penn State. I get it. But this is a really good Indiana team. This is going to be a very good game tonight. I'm glad Ohio State's motivated.
You can say the same about Oregon beating Penn State too. I mean, that was a hell of a game. See, I just look at it. I'm just looking at this like you are, but I'm looking at it as Ohio State. This is a special elite team.
I agree, Tim.
I think Indiana's close.
This is why, like, I know I'm very, very super impressed with Indiana's talent and their coaching. That being said, this might be the best Ohio State team I've ever seen. That story is still to be written, so I'm picking Ohio State tonight. But man, these are not just the number 1 and number 2 ranked teams in the country. These are the 2 best teams in the country. And guys, I won't be surprised if this is the first game of 2 in the postseason between Ohio State and Indiana.
That's what we just talked about earlier.
That would be incredible.
Yeah.
I think the game within the game, and I'm I know it's easy we just look at results and things like that, and yeah, Indiana did beat Oregon at Oregon, but it was the way they beat them that was very unlike Indiana, which is for Mendoza to throw a pick six, have the game be tied on the pick six. The figurative roof comes off Autzen, and you know how crazy that place is.
Yeah.
And then for them to answer with a score. And I know, yes, they've dug some holes, and that's what Iowa does that to people. You go there, they bring you into their ring, but Indiana did outrush them that game.
Yes.
And so they're like, we can look at everything, and you're right, Penn State had a very down year, but Indiana didn't have technically their best receiver in that game in Surratt. So, and he still brought them back 85, 90 yards. And the other thing about that is Penn State was not in a prevent. They were sending guys in his face the entire drive. Even the last pass, guys were coming off the edge. So I find that more impressive than anything is that Indiana teams from here to 1988 don't win those games.
Right.
They don't. And they won that.
Maybe other than 2020 with Penix.
Maybe so. But I don't know. Yeah. But as far as like the game within the game.
Hey, let me interrupt you.
Yeah.
What you're saying is they were pushed back into their own corner. They were pushed back and found the way to win those games, and their players stepped up to the moment. That's what impresses you about Indiana. They didn't step back, they stepped forward. And that's Mendoza is the leader of that stepping forward group. But in stepping forward, they also made big plays. So this should be a hell of a game tonight.
Yeah, the Indiana story, they're getting Ohio State's full attention. And I think that's the cool part, is that this isn't maybe for some people it's okay, Ohio State, Indiana, I've seen this movie for 40 years. I know how it ends. It's going to end that way. Maybe there are a lot of people that feel that way, and certainly an IU guy certainly would have a tough time not feeling that way. And I do think guys in their defensive backfield, like Jamari Sharp's going to need some help tonight. Mm-hmm. He's going to need help tonight. Indiana's going to have to run the ball tonight. They're going to have to try to keep Ohio State's offense limited to whatever they can.
And Anthony and Tim, Ohio State, we'll find out for sure here in about 15 minutes. Ohio State, I think, is entering this game exceptionally healthy. Like, when you consider this is the 13th game of the season, it looks like Ohio State is entering this game like remarkably healthy. We'll find out for sure shortly.
Yeah, so real quickly, and I know we'll get to Scotty Vegas here in a minute to talk about the spread and everything where that's going. But I started looking at some of the quarterbacks, that they have faced, and they did a pretty good job against Altmaier, and they did a pretty good job against Dante Moore. But then they had other guys that kind of threw on Indiana, and they were like Grunkmeyer had well over 200 yards against them, and so
that's not good for Indiana,
right? And so it's hard to balance, but it is
Penn
only
State game.
It's only one game.
I really feel like the Penn State game was the aberration for them. They've been fantastic this entire. People, what about Iowa? At Iowa, you win by 5. That's actually like
here's
one of the
pretty
solid
one of the most
win,
interesting things that Kurt Cignetti said this week is when he was appraising Ohio State's offense was they have been methodical, gotten the job done, kept the ball away from the other team right on down the line. But he goes, you just know there's more in the tank for them in terms of maybe pushing it from a tempo standpoint or whatever you want to call it. That he says you can literally see it, that there's more in the tank there. So how does Ohio State? What does it pull out of the tank tonight? Is the most interesting aspect of this. Do they for the first time this year really go giddy up?
Kickoff forecast brought to you by Sunbelt Rentals. See why the Columbus Builders building Columbus Lean on Green. It'll be nice and comfy in Lucas Oil. 70,000 plus sold out show. Real feel outside of Lucas Oil about 27 degrees. We come back. Where's the smart money? Scotty Vegas will tell us next on the Central Ohio Toyota Dealers Fan Tailgate Show right here on The Fan.
Matty Ice has a large tattoo on his calf of LeBron eating a lion. I have nothing else to say. Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan.
We're back to football talk, but before we kick off, a quick thanks to Bob and the team at Worthington Jewelers.
Thanks, Common Man. Whether it's game day or every day, we're here to help you celebrate life's biggest moments.
Worthington Jewelers, your hometown jeweler.
What he said.
At Kemba Financial Credit Union, we care about you. Consumers like you say they don't want monthly fees for checking, and we listen. Introducing hassle-free checking with no monthly service fee. Use it as an easy place to deposit and transfer your money, along with your everyday banking needs. Plus, Kemba's expansive digital banking services make it easy for you to bank how you want. At Kemba, we're always thinking of ways to put you and your finances first. Visit Kemba.org. Federally insured by NCUA. Restrictions apply.
Toyotathon is on, and there's no better way to get in the spirit of the season than with a new Toyota. Like the family-size Highlander and the bigger, more powerful Grand Highlander. Now through January 5th, you can get 4.75 APR financing on any remaining new 25 Highlander or Grand Highlander, including hybrid models, with approved credit through TFS. Plus, you get Toyota Care 2 years, no-cost maintenance. For complete details, go to Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
It's playoff time. Who will the Buckeyes play? Where will they play? Let's find out together. Join Tom Taberi, Timmy Hall, Nicole Sheeran, and Dean Sanzenbacher for Chasing the Championship.
Sunday at noon on 10 TV Plus and the Fans YouTube.
Hi, Bob Capace from Worthington Jewelers. Coming up, more football talk on the Fan.
That's right, Bob. And just like our hometown team, Worthington Jewelers is all about tradition, family, and winning moments.
Celebrate your victories with us, your hometown jeweler, Worthington Jewelers.
They're trained. They're fired up.
Let's do it.
When you need heat, they can't be beat. They're Ohio State's undefeated heating and cooling team. For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call the Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
I need a small order of sheet metal to repair something in the shop. It's not much, but can you help me out?
At Metal Supermarkets, no order is too small.
Wait, really?
Yep.
What about small home projects?
Yep.
For a car I'm working on?
Yep.
Any kind of metal?
Yep.
Cut to size?
Yep.
With no minimum order?
Yep.
How about 1,000 cut pieces of aluminum flat bar?
Yep. Choose from over 8,000 types, shapes, and grades of metal in any quantity you need. And yes, we're serious. Any metal, any size, ready fast. Locally owned on Wilson Road.
Bobcat Enterprises has rebates and write-offs to give you a competitive edge in 2026. Now until the end of the year, get 0% financing for 60 months or up to $10,000 in cash rebates. Offer varies by model and dealer in-stock inventory. This year's tax deductions are bigger than ever, and you can apply to lease, finance, or directly purchase equipment. Spend it before the government gets it. Stop by Bobcat Enterprises in Hilliard, Reynoldsburg, or Zanesville, or see our full line of products at bobcatent.com today. Offer expires 12/31/25.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Accurate Heating and Cooling and Bryant. Doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
Don't it feel good when your crowd behind you? You know what I'm saying?
You're listening to the Central Ohio Toyota Dealers Tailgate Show.
Visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And presented by Curtis & Associates and Mountain Dew.
Your home of the Buckeyes. The Fan.
Hi, it's the Toyota Fan Tailgate Show presented by Mountain Dew. Handicapper to the stars, Scotty Vegas, is in studio with us now. And he's going to tell us his feeling on a couple big things here. All right, number one, this has been one-way traffic since this thing opened at 6.5, correct? It's kind of come down. The spread on the game is what I mean.
So I'm glad you asked that question because I will tell you the sharp money is coming in on Indiana. The public is still betting Ohio State. So that's why you're seeing the move from 6.5 when we were doing our show last Sunday. It was 6.5. It came out at that. And then you and I thought, okay, maybe that'll tick up, Dave. We thought maybe it would get up to a touchdown, something like that. It's gone the other way. And it is now in two different places. You can get it at plus 4.5, or you can get it at plus 4 for Indiana at this point. So you've seen that move about 2.5 points.
totals come down as well in this game. I saw it at 48.5 earlier in the week. It's now at 46.5. Now, that's counterintuitive to what I think, but maybe they're leaning into the defenses, or maybe they're leaning into both teams not showing a lot. I mean, listen, if they're aggressive and there's turnovers, or aggressive and there's 3 and outs, then the score will stay low. But what do you make of the total coming down on an indoor game with these two offenses and obviously these two defenses?
Yeah, it's very interesting because actually now it's come down even another point, and right now it sits at 45.5. So, and you think, okay, indoor fast track, weather's not a factor. You would think, okay, 2 Heisman Trophy quarterbacks, I mean, everything points to, okay, this could be a little bit of a higher scoring game, but the respect of the defenses is just the reason why it's come down. And the weird thing about conference championship games is you actually see a lot of unders in conference championship games.
Yeah, and like you're saying, Scotty, 2 elite defenses, not good defenses, great defenses.
Right.
So Ohio State #1 in pretty much every metric. Indiana, the #4 total defense in the country. So
yeah,
it does make sense.
So I wanted to ask you guys this because I pulled these numbers and I was curious what the preseason odds for both Ohio State and Indiana were to win the Big Ten. We know Ohio State was the favorite coming into the year. We know Indiana was a bit of a long shot. So I want you guys to kind of guess, get as close as you can to what were Ohio State's odds to win the Big Ten and what were Indiana's odds.
Now, we do this on OTM. Are we doing consensus or are we all just guessing?
No, I think you all get a guess.
Okay. I'm going to go plus 400 Ohio State.
Okay.
Wait, see, I don't know how that works, so I'm going to say 4-1.
Okay.
This is Ohio State's odds.
Ohio State's odds to win the conference preseason. Remember, they were 6-1 to win the national championship preseason.
All right. The only thing that's getting in my way is what Las Vegas felt about Penn State before the year. And what they felt about them was that they were a little bit better than Ohio State on paper. Yeah. That's what they felt. But the game was here. The game was going to be here. So I'm going to go. I feel like Sayin was the X factor because of the young quarterback, and Drew Aller was back. But Penn State's the only team I'm struggling with. I wasn't struggling with Oregon on whether they felt that Oregon would be better. So I would imagine I'll just go under them. I'll say 3-1.
Okay, it was actually. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, it was actually Ohio State plus 210. They were the favorite.
Anthony was very close.
Penn State was second at plus 250.
Can I guess Indiana?
Let's go. Yeah.
30-1.
Okay.
Oh my.
15-1.
15.
This is to win the conference?
Yep, to win the conference preseason.
So let's see all the hurdles they had to go over. The 2 we just talked about, Ohio State and Penn State.
Schedule.
Oregon. Illinois was talked about before them.
Yeah.
Michigan was talked about before them. I don't know if Iowa was.
I'm just saying they had to play at Iowa.
Yeah. But as far as before this, so I'm looking at them as being the 6th best favorite in the Big Ten before the season. So what would that equal? What did you say, Dave?
I said 30-1.
Timmy,
I said 15-1 just to be different.
All right. 17-1.
Okay, it is actually 35-1.
Wow.
Indiana was 35-1 to win the Big Ten conference before the season started. I will give you in order how this went in the Big Ten. So Ohio State was plus 210, Penn State was plus 250, Oregon was 3-1, Michigan was 11-1, and then you had USC, Illinois, and Indiana all tied for the fifth best odds at 35-1.
I have the next question. So how much money's hanging out there if Indiana wins tonight? Meaning how much could change hands if Indiana wins tonight?
Anthony will be able to buy a new Porsche. That's how much.
Is there an actual number out there?
Anybody on that?
Here's the thing. The preseason money was coming in on Ohio State, right? So you didn't get a lot of action at 35-1 on Indiana. And those obviously changed after Indiana beat Iowa and after they beat Illinois. Those odds changed significantly. But it's just crazy to think that they were 35-1 behind Penn State, behind Oregon, behind Michigan, tied with USC, and tied with Illinois.
I agree with that. I was just wondering how much the casinos or the sports sites would be hanging in the balance tonight if, in fact, Indiana pulls this off. I see what you're saying.
It feels like they wouldn't be too exposed because there's so many other good options in the Big Ten to bet on than them.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like they would be a brand that would put Las Vegas in a big exposure problem.
100%. Yeah. And speaking of brands, so this to me is probably the most amazing thing about this run that Ohio State is on. So against the spread, Ohio State last 16 games, They're 14-1-1 against the spread. And if you think about that, like just covering the spread 14 out of 16 is amazing. But then you've got Ohio State, who, as you mentioned, is the elite brand in college football. And so you get a lot of money that comes in on Ohio State. So a lot of times those Ohio State odds are inflated because they are such a public team and people love betting Ohio State. That's why that number of Ohio State being 14-1-1. And oh, by the way, the one loss was to Purdue against the spread, in which they gave up a late touchdown. So it wasn't like they underperformed in that game. It was a junk touchdown at the end. And then you had the OU game, which Ohio State was a 28-point favorite, and they end up calling that a push. So that's wild. Hey, I want to ask you guys about the college football playoff because we're watching Alabama. They're struggling against Georgia. There are live odds out there on these teams to make the playoffs, and there is incredible movement today, and that movement is towards Miami. Right. So we were talking about this during the week as far as, okay, what's the chances Miami can leapfrog Notre Dame? And what you had to have happen was you had to have BYU lose today, and they lost. So they're out of it. They're out of the picture. So now that the talk is, okay, does this just come down to Miami and Notre Dame? Well, now you've got Alabama, who has 0 points at the half in the SEC championship game. So you could maybe throw Alabama into the discussion and say there's 2 open spots and 3 teams. Well, here are your current live odds on to make the playoff. You have Alabama minus 500. You have Notre Dame minus 450. Minus 450. And then you have Miami at plus 160 now.
Okay, Miami's not getting in.
Plus 160.
Miami's not. The committee's already spoken. We can talk about, head to head, right? They have the same record, and Miami beat them, right? But like the committee's already spoken. I don't think it's going to change. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
And Alabama, unless they get beat, and this could happen, it probably won't. 63-0 or something. As long as they keep it like kind of respectable, Alabama's not dropping out of this thing. I think Miami is out and Notre Dame is in, despite that head-to-head, because the rest of the schedule completely favors Notre Dame. All of the analytics favored, and I know the head-to-head. I get it. I'd be saying the same thing if I was a Miami fan, but I think Notre Dame's going to get in.
I think somebody in that room is arguing big time for Miami. That's what I think.
It could
going
happen.
on.
It makes it fun.
Based on the way the rankings came out this week.
What's wild to me, Tim,
Yeah.
is how these odds are moving so significantly.
That's right.
Because the momentum for Miami, because there has been such a national narrative of pushing Miami, and they were 4-1 yesterday. And they are now plus 160.
That's
so
right.
momentum coming towards Miami to get in.
Before we let you go, the best sports gambler in the state of Ohio, Scotty Vegas. I'm loving Julian saying 2-1 for the Heisman right now. I just placed another one. I just placed another one. Julian saying 2-1. How are you feeling on that?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad we're talking Heisman because I've got both Mendoza. I got Mendoza during that Illinois game at 30-1. I got saying what was it? I think it was during the Purdue game, and I got it about 12-1. My fear is this ridiculous narrative now that Diego Pavia is in the picture. As here are your updated Heisman Trophy odds. So saying you said it, he is 2-1, and I do still like the value.
Heck yeah.
Mendoza is plus 160, and Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt is now plus 175.
Well, if Pavia plays well today, then who knows?
Yeah.
Oh wait,
He's
his backyard football game doesn't matter.
Write this down. Now, it may not finish 1-2, but write this down. The conundrum for most Heisman voters right now is Julian saying, or Fernando Mendoza, as I like to say his name. But then, of course, Diego Pavia can benefit from the conundrum, but I don't see him winning the actual trophy, meaning he could finish second.
I was telling the guys in there, I was like, I think that there is a little bit of a push to get Diego Pavia money out there. I think, let's put his number so that people start to think down south, maybe little Diego's got a shot.
Yeah.
But he's got no shot. He's not going to win the Heisman Trophy. The winner, whoever performs best tonight, is going to win and should win the Heisman.
So his team's not in a championship game, and they're not in the playoff. And he's not playing today.
And go check out his stats. And just go check out his individual stats in a couple of the big games they were in this. I mean, there are all kinds of reasons why he won't win it. Except, I don't see that. I don't see the Stranger Things we've seen. I mean, I don't see Diego Pavia being a trivia answer in 10 years of
He's had some big passing days lately, but there's just not enough team success now.
He also had 2 picks in that Tennessee game, which really everybody was like, oh, the Tennessee win. That's what kind of vaulted his number. Hey, real quick, I can't wait to see you out at Hollywood Casino. We're going to be eating together. We're going to be doing prizes. How about the Buckeye basketball team? 3-point underdog gets the money line win today.
Unbelievable.
What about this game tonight?
Ooh,
are you laying? Are you playing the first half under? Are you playing the first half over 23.5? Are you playing the total? What are you playing? Are you just going all in on Ohio State laying the 4? What's
the number one play for me would be saying at the 2-1 for the Heisman. That's the best value on the board. And then for me, I'm taking Ohio State money line.
All right. Way to go, Scotty. We'll see you out there. Hollywood Casino Columbus. We'll come back with keys to the game next. This is the Central Ohio Toyota Dealers Fan Tailgate Show right here on The Fan.
We test marketed naming the show A Guy and His Butlers.
Oh, that is very touching.
But we thought Bishop and Friends had a better ring to it.
Weekday mornings at 9.
The Fan.
Taking out the trash. Hey, Columbus, this is Zach Bourne. And Jacoby Bourne. When it comes to waste service, you want a team that knows how to deliver under pressure, just like Saturdays in the fall.
At Bourne Brothers Waste Services, our team is built on toughness, teamwork, and consistent execution.
We're the most reliable and customer service-focused waste company in Central Ohio.
Whether it is recycling, trash, construction waste, roll-off containers, front loads, or compactors, we have it handled.
Call now or visit BourneBrothers.com and let us tackle your waste needs.
Taking out the trash.
Our clients deserve for us to care, and they deserve to feel serviced. They have questions, and they deserve answers. We're counselors first because I'm not selling them anything. I'm trying to teach clients how to protect themselves. At Curtis & Associates, we're personal injury attorneys. We've helped and continue to help hundreds and hundreds of clients every year. That's important to us. If you've been injured in an accident and it's not your fault, call now. 614-GOT-HURT. That's 614-GOT-HURT. Curtis & Associates. Attorneys who care.
Hey Columbus, it's Lorenzo Styles Jr., Ohio State student athlete. Football runs deep in my family. My dad played here, and now my brother and I are proud to carry on that tradition. At Monogram Homes, family matters too. They treat every homeowner like one of their own, building with care, precision, and pride. Monogram doesn't just build houses, they build homes, crafted just for you. So whether you're starting your first home or designing your dream space, Monogram Homes has got your back every step of the way. Visit monogramhomes.net to start building today. Monogram Homes, a builder you can trust.
Dread the cold, frosty winter weather? You don't have to with a remote car starter from Columbus Car Audio and Accessories. Warm up this winter by pushing a button and stop scraping frosty windows and sitting in a freezing car every day. Get yourself the latest remote start and step into a toasty and defrosted car this year. Plus, remote starts make amazing gifts for everyone on your shopping list. Beat winter weather by installing a remote car starter from Columbus Car Audio and Accessories. Morse Road near Easton, Main Street in Reynoldsburg, or columbuscaraudio.com.
Call the folks at Buckeye, night or day.
My furnace is still heating, but something's not quite right. Seems it's working awfully hard, but I'm so cold at night.
Let us have a look. We'll figure out what's wrong. We'll recommend the best plan to get it running strong.
Get a free diagnostic furnace check with repair.
Call 614-683-9911. Call the folks at Buckeye, night or day.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. This is The Fan's Game Day Scoreboard.
This Game Day update is sponsored by Mutual Federal, proudly serving Columbus with personal and business solutions at mutualfederal.com.
Good evening. I'm Dylan Gonzalez. For the first time in the conference's history, the Big Ten Championship will be a matchup of the top 2 teams in the country as Ohio State takes on Indiana in Indianapolis tonight. Keep it on The Fan for coverage leading up to the game and kickoff at 8 o'clock. The Ohio State basketball team went on the road and beat Northwestern 86-82 in their first conference game this season. Brandon Knoll led all scorers with 29 points. Now back to football. Texas Tech is your Big 12 champion this year, defeating BYU 34-7. Western Michigan won the MAC. They beat Miami of Ohio 23-13. Georgia is currently leading the SEC championship game versus Alabama down there in the ATL 14-0 at the half. Duke and Virginia will kick off for the ACC crown at 8 o'clock in Charlotte. Breaking sports news when it happens right here on The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
This This is the Central Ohio Toyota Dealers Tailgate Show.
Visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And presented by Curtis and Associates and Mountain Dew.
Your forever flagship home of Ohio State athletics. The Fan. It's time for the keys to the game.
Sponsored by your Central Ohio Toyota dealers. Visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Yeah, a lot of keys in this one. And the big one for me, for Indiana, as I mentioned earlier, was the way their secondary doesn't give up the big play. Like, if there's a couple home runs in this game, it's going to be big.
Mm-hmm.
I know they have the offense to come back, and they have a quarterback that could probably chase it a little bit.
They've proven it.
Yeah, and then they have. And, so the big key also is that we pointed out that Indiana maybe won some games this year that they were in the corner, and they came out and they won. But so they're going up against a team in Ohio State that has championship mentality. Like, I know the quarterback is new, but they've been there, done that. And Indiana got a taste of it last year. They've won every game this year. And so I love this matchup for them as far as, like, being in it. Like, they believe they can actually go toe-to-toe. But what would worry me for Indiana would be getting to Sayin enough to make this game manageable for them. Now, that goes with the theory that Ryan Day will continue to be very aggressive. Now, maybe he runs to open up the pass. I don't know. I mean, he's the running game's going a little bit now. But he started that the rivalry game, throwing deep. And then he threw again, and they paid for it with a pick. Now, Michigan didn't have the offense to truly make them pay all day if they weren't going to get touchdowns. And so I'll get your guys' opinion on that, because my key to the game is somehow Indiana affecting Sayin. I don't know how you do it. No team's really been able to do it. When they've tried to blitz him, it hasn't worked. When they've dropped 7, it doesn't work.
Right, Anthony. I mean, there's been times when you're like, you look at this Ohio State offensive line, I think it's played really well overall. You're like, yeah, are they really a good run blocking line? And they, really have been the last 3 weeks. But they've been a good pass pro line the entire year. You're right. But this is the best defense they faced. And it might sound a little crazy. Wait a minute. They faced Texas. They faced Michigan. This is the best defense they will have faced. Maybe not by a large margin over Texas, but I still think this is the best defense. But you're right. No one has really affected Sayin. And the times they have, he does a good job at just moving in the pocket. Like, he's not a statue back there. But that is a very, very, very smart key to victory right there, Tim May.
Yeah, Dave hit the nail on the head, though. I mean, when you really watch, I'm a sicko. I watch a lot of football on YouTube, games, replays, things like that. But you watch Sayin's feet. Sayin has almost like Roethlisberger feet, except they're faster. I mean, meaning he knows how to move around. Like Joe Montana used to know how to move around and then still get on platform and make the throws. Julian, in my opinion, has pulled the trigger a couple of times too early or gone with the initial play in recent weeks, where if he just glanced this way, it would have been a touchdown. And you know what I mean? I mean, he could have, and from a standpoint of a guy being wide open. But the bottom line is, he's had as much to do with not getting sacked as his offensive line has, because the offensive line has rarely given a defense a free runner at their quarterback. I'm talking about Ohio State's offensive line. That is huge. And whereas Ohio State with Caleb Downs and Jermaine Matthews and Arvell Reese on occasion have had some free runners, you see what it does to an offense. So I think Indiana will be trying to get pressure up the A gap tonight in some form or fashion that other teams have had trouble getting, making Sayin immediately move off his spot and see where that goes. Indiana's not what I'd call a super blitzing team, but they do blitz.
Yeah, they're very happy just to get pressure with their front four because they've done that.
Right,
yeah,
but they also mess with you because they do a lot of movement with their front four. They do play a lot of games up front and with their front four guys. So, that'll be the chess match that I'm watching early in the game to see how Ohio State handles that. But you will eventually figure that out.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Indiana's got to, they can't be stupid. Cignetti, the last thing I would put next to his name is stupid, right. Meaning they are going to make Ohio State beat them by going the long way.
And even last year was a close game. I've heard people say, well, Ohio State just blew them out last year. Dude, that was a 7-point game at halftime. Yeah, Ohio State pulled right. The Caleb Downs punt. Right. It ended up 38-15. That was and Indiana scored first in that game. And even at halftime, it was a 7-point game. I think it gives Indiana a little bit more confidence going into this game. It's like, we went to Columbus last year. Everybody thinks we got blown out. We didn't. We were down 7 at halftime. That was at Ohio State. Indiana is a better team this year, Anthony Rothman.
They are, and when they've won these games, it's been by heroics by their great quarterback who's up for the Heisman and their weapons.
Nothing wrong with that.
And the other way is by getting a pass rush. They're top 12 in sacks this year, and they've prioritized being very good in the trenches. Now, they doing it without Kellen Wyatt is a problem. Like they're missing a guy, and he's highly doubtful. And so Stephen Daly, I think if he has a great game, if anybody has a great game against Ohio State, they immediately get the eye of the scouts. Like this is the tape they want to be able to put out there. So I think Daly's going to want to be good on the edge for Indiana. But they have to, because to ask their secondary to do what no one's been able to do. And the other thing about Indiana's offense, and the pressure is really on them, because Ohio State has not given up. They haven't let a team score 17 this year, I don't believe.
You're right. Illinois exploded for 16.
Unreal.
I know. I picked Indiana to score 20 in this game. We'll get to our official predictions later. I picked Indiana to score 20. And I thought, like, what am I doing here with Matt Patricia? But, like, you look at this Ohio State defense.
What is the best offense Ohio State has faced this year, though?
Until tonight, that's a good question.
Was it Illinois?
Maybe Illinois or Washington.
That's what I'm saying. So,
right. That's the thing.
Ohio State's facing the best team
on
both sides of the ball that it has faced all year.
No doubt. I've had people ask me, like, where do you put this Ohio State defense? I'm like, from what I'm seeing right now, and I've followed this team for a long time as a fan and then during my time on the beat, I think it's the best that I've seen, but that story is a long way from being written. Yeah, no doubt about it. But I will say this about Ohio State. They could not enter this game, Anthony and Tim, much more healthy than they are. Like, they have nobody questionable for this game. So Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith not listed on the availability report. The guys that are listed as out are guys that have been out for the last several weeks. So like Logan George, Quincy Porter, like there's nobody new. They're more healthy going into this game than they were going into the Michigan game last week, and they were pretty healthy going into the Michigan game last week. I'm
pretty bummed about Quincy Porter because he's been banged up for several weeks now, and that was the guy I saw coming on as this season progressed, but it is what it is. You still got the two best receivers in the country, plus Brandon Ennis, wherever you want to slot him. And guys, last week, Will Kazmarek made a huge number of blocks, but he had a couple of 3 big-time catches in that game. The other tight end, as he'll say, goes. The tight ends are going to play a huge role in this game. Remember the touchdown pass that got called back to Jelani Thurman? That was a very extremely well executed play because Bennett Christian moved slightly. But so the tight ends, that's where I give Ohio State another advantage, is just the plethora of tight ends they've got and the way they use them.
And the kid for Indiana, the tight end, Nowakowski, he's going to be involved tonight for them too. I look at Indiana's offense, and while I'll give them a lot of credit for just taking teams apart, the teams they could take apart, they did take apart.
They did.
But you look at, I know they did score 30 at Oregon, which is big, but you know, at Iowa, they got to 20. And Penn State, they got to 27 on the game-winning touchdown. So against some physical teams, they haven't thrown up those 50 burgers that they've thrown against somebody. So everything kind of comes back to the middle a little bit for them. I think their floor tonight, they know they have to get to at least 21. They have to. And I think a little bit like Michigan, I think Indiana knows that threes aren't winning the game. And they have to cash in. Now, I used to think that most teams, to get in the end zone against Ohio State, would have to throw it in there, that they just weren't going to methodically run the ball down the field. These Indiana's, running backs are different from last year. 2 different guys. Hemby has been around, and Black is really good too. So I feel like they know they have to run the ball to kind of
Mendoza can run the ball.
On the RPO is a fairly big thing for them.
That's his, he's not going to major in that. But Indiana's got a really good rushing offense.
He's one of those guys that breaks your heart when he runs.
He could be a Cleveland Brown next year at this time, my friend. I've seen a lot of mock drafts that have the Browns trading up to get Fernando Mendoza.
I wouldn't mind interviewing that guy every day if I was a pro. If I was a pro beat
he's a
writer.
very smart dude. Yes.
Keys to the Game sponsored by your Central Ohio Toyota dealers. Visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. We will come back and take you back to Indy and get the preview of the network pregame coming up with Paul Keels and company. We'll do that next on the Central Ohio Toyota Dealers Fan Tailgate Show right here on The Fan.
Bobby Carpenter demands that you watch Morning Juice on YouTube. If you don't, Tito will move into your house.
Live at 6 a.m. on YouTube and streaming on the Fan app.
In Columbus, how you roll up on game day matters. And with Polestar are redefining the driving experience. The Polestar 3 isn't just an electric SUV. It's an SUV that drives like a sports car. Precise, powerful, silent enough to hear the crowd before you see the stadium. Drive it today at Polestar Columbus, or visit polestarcolumbus.com for a test drive and to learn about our competitive lease offers.
At Kemba Financial Credit Union, we care about you. Consumers like you say they don't want monthly fees for checking, and we listen. Introducing hassle-free checking with no monthly service fee. Use it as an easy place to deposit and transfer your money, along with your everyday banking needs. Plus, Kemba's expansive digital banking services make it easy for you to bank how you want. At Kemba, we're always thinking of ways to put you and your finances first. Visit Kemba.org, federally insured by NCUA. Restrictions apply.
Hey Columbus, it's Lorenzo Styles Jr., Ohio State student athlete. It's football season, and just like on the field, success starts with the right game plan and the right team. That's why I'm proud to team up with Monogram Homes. They're the true custom home builder, bringing precision, creativity, and attention to every detail, just like we do on Saturdays. If you're ready to build, don't settle for standard. Go custom. Go Monogram. Visit monogramhomes.net to start building today. Monogram Homes, a builder you can trust.
Austin and Berm are back with a new daily podcast, the ultimate OSU Football Insiders. You know, it's refreshing to have some smart people working here from time to time.
The Beat with Austin and Berm on the 10 TV Plus app.
Subscribe today.
Toyota-thon is on, and there's no better way to get in the spirit of the season than with a new Toyota. Now through January 5th, get 2.99 APR financing on remaining new 25 Tacomas. Excludes TRD Pro and Trail Hunter. Or lease a well-equipped 25 Tacoma SR5 for $259 a month, or 39 months with $39.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS, tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details, or go to toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Tailgates are better when your ride's rocking. Columbus Car Audio and Accessories upgrades your sound, tints your ride, and adds the extras to make your ride the ultimate game day machine.
They're trained. They're fired up.
Let's do it.
When you need heat, they can't be beat. They're Ohio State's undefeated heating and cooling team. For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call the Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Warm up this winter by pushing a button with a remote car starter from Columbus Car Audio and Accessories. Step into a toasty and defrosted car and share the warmth with everyone on your shopping list. Beat winter weather with Columbus Car Audio and Accessories. Morse Road, Main Street in Reynoldsburg, or columbuscaraudio.com.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Into Central Ohio, I'm 10 Weather Impact meteorologist Michael Behrens with your latest forecast. We're looking at quiet weather for tonight. Cloudy skies, maybe a flurry or two. Temperature down in the upper 20s. As we head into Sunday, we'll see a little bit of rain-snow mix. Temperatures in the mid to upper 30s. Will cool down again to around 20 Sunday night with quiet weather Monday and some sunshine coming through. That's your latest 10 Weather Impact forecast. I'm meteorologist Michael Behrens on 97.1 The Fan.
Just when you thought afternoons couldn't get any dumber.
You fellas been doing a bit of boozing, have you?
Common Man and Timmy.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
Your home for dumb. The Fan.
That was one hell of a game, huh?
Start ringing that victory bell. This is the Central Ohio Toyota Dealers Tailgate Show.
Visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And presented by Curtis & Associates and Mountain Dew.
Your home for Ohio State Athletics. The Fan.
All right, inching closer. I'll be right around 2 hours till kick. Paul Keels, our final check-in, sponsored by Byers Imports. Byers Imports, Hamilton Road by the airport. Paul, what's coming up?
Well, coming up, Anthony, as always, we'll hear from both head coaches, Ohio State's Ryan Day, as well as Indiana coach Curt Cignetti. Ohio State defensive coordinator Matt Patricia will talk about what they did last week and what their aim is for this week. Tyler Danberg will talk with Ohio State defensive end Kenyatta Jackson about the way this defense has played coming into this game. We will hear from Molly Harrell, who is the executive director of the Broyles Award Committee, and she is also Frank Broyles' granddaughter, talking about the honor given every year to the top assistant in college football, in which Matt Patricia Patricia is under consideration for him. We will hear from the legendary Indiana play-by-play announcer Don Fisher about this magical season for the Hoosiers. And as always, we will have our award-winning, world-famous Big Ten Championship gold pants on order, St. Elmo's cocktail sauce. Back home in Indiana, do fries go with that shake version of Buckeye Flashback with Hall of Famer Skip Mossick? That's coming up shortly, fellas.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Paul.
How did that start, by the way? That is awesome what Paul does there with the world fame. Like, how did that start?
I don't have the origin of it.
Yeah,
it may have even predated me. He's been doing it for so long.
He's been like the play-by-play announcer for the Buckeyes since 1997, I believe. How lucky, and Jim Lachey has been the color.
He must have minored in
how
creative
lucky are
writing.
Buckeye fans to have those two legends being like the commentators for Ohio State football? It's awesome. Yeah, he's been doing it since 1997.
I think Paul minored in creative writing wherever he went to college.
He did.
They are a great dynamic pair, man, and they've seen some great ones. They've called some great ones.
Absolutely.
And they deserve a 1 versus 2 tonight, and they're going to get it. This is the Kurgis and Associates Fan Tailgate Show. Remember, they don't get paid unless you get paid. So Ohio State's only allowed opponents to score, let me pull up their schedule, into double digits, I believe, 4 of 12 times. That's just double digits. And as I said, none have scored more than 16. And which happened on the road against Illinois in what you thought was a pride game for Illinois based on what happened against Indiana, right? Do I have the calendar right on that?
That was, yeah.
They were getting some guys back a little bit defensively, but no, Ohio State's been heads above the rest. They're the team now that has entered should category and not could. I always take that from could to should, and now they are could repeat to now should repeat according to the experts. And they know it. And now they got the rivalry monkey off their back, and they're leaning into another playoff run. It may come from a different way this year where they take many weeks off. They're going to get a bye, so they won't play again until either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, regardless of what happens tonight.
Right. Both teams.
Yep.
If Indiana loses, they're getting a bye for sure, in my opinion. Yeah, and you look at it like this Ohio State team, I've been confident in them all year. Entering the year, after I knew, they're even better than I thought. I still would have taken at that point, let's say halfway through the year, 3/4 of the way through the regular season, if you said Field or Ohio State for the national championship, who you taking? I would have said Field.
You have said Field. Because it's so difficult to repeat anyway.
Now, I would take Ohio State over Field. And it's like, the betting odds are almost there.
You don't have to beat them all.
The betting odds are almost there. Ohio State's not quite even money, but it's close. And now, and I'm never this team over the Field. I'm usually Field over this team, even if this team is great. Now, I am Ohio State over the Field to win the national championship. And guys, this would be the first time in program history that the Buckeyes would win back-to-back national titles. They have a long way to go.
But that's a long way to go to that one.
But a long way to go.
But I mean, Ohio State has the fewest flaws of anybody in contention for the college football playoff top 12 teams, number one. But that can change in a heartbeat with an injury here or something like that. What is really the two guys that have really made this team for me, because I knew the defense could be good, because a lot of those guys played a lot. Everybody, like I heard Dane Sonsenbacher talking about Ohio State being sort of young compared to Indiana in some respects. And I'm going, dude, these guys played a lot last year. Write them down. But Jalen McClain, the way he has come on in place of Lathan Ransom, and then Julian Sayin, the way he stepped up and became the quarterback maybe you thought he could be, but I think he's been even better than some people thought he could be. Those two guys have really been the straw that stirred the drink, in my opinion, because we knew what Caleb Downs was about. We knew if Arvell Reese got lined up right, he could freak out on anybody. I mean, write them down the line, the little question marks. Offensive line, but they solved that.
Right. If you would have told me, Tim, speaking of offensive line, you let me right into it. If you had told me at leaving spring or entering camp, hey, Ethan Onion was going to be no factor, whether he just doesn't play or gets hurt, he's no factor at all. What do you think? I'm like, oh, geez, that'll be bad for the O-line.
Yeah.
No. Not at all. Austin Saraveld not being first team All Big Ten, it's like, I have no idea why.
It's a slight.
But he's fantastic. Luke Montgomery has been fantastic at left guard. Carson Hinsman's been fantastic at center. Tegra has really struggled at right guard until the Michigan game where he played really well. I think Philip Daniels has played really well for the most part. So even with Oniano, who I thought was a shoo-in to be the starting left tackle, then they're like, maybe he'll be the right tackle. Yeah. Maybe he'll be the ninth man on the O-line. Yeah. But this offensive line, credit to Tyler Bowen and credit to the offensive linemen themselves. This is a really good Ohio State offensive line, and Indiana's is arguably even better than Ohio State's, Anthony.
But then I look at Ohio State's defensive front too. The question mark was the defensive tackles.
Yes.
The depth of defensive tackle. That question has been answered. if Ohio State has its druthers, it is playing a game tonight and 3 more. So they're going to be playing the best teams that they have played all year. We line them up. I mean, it's not going to be Rutgers and Purdue back-to-back.
Yeah.
And
then on the reverse.
Even if they get the number 1 seed, it'll probably be the winner of Notre Dame, Oklahoma, if it works out that way.
Yeah. Sometimes it always just depends on which way you're looking at it, from which point of view, because and Tim will understand that sometimes it depends on what part of the country you're standing in as to just how dumb you are.
Yeah.
And I would say that.
I do say that a lot.
Right. You and I steal that quote from Smokey and the Bandit. And I would say that the other teams that we're talking about, they have to play Ohio State.
Right.
Like, so it's which angle? Because you could look at it, oh, yeah, the teams Ohio State's going to have to play. They're all going to be ranked. They're all going to be good. But those teams have to play them.
Right.
And so.
I love that attitude. They have to play us. That's a way better way to look at it. Wait, we have to play them?
Well, the experts say that's the case.
Us. No, you're totally right.
You know, if Georgia looks good tonight. They look good.
They look pretty good.
They've been getting better the last several weeks.
I thought Stockton's lack of a passing acumen would hold them back. He's actually turned into a decent passer. Yeah, Georgia's peaking at the right time.
These
They're
revenge games
Alabama right now,
revenge games tend to go that way.
Right.
It is. I heard Saban talking about that today about having to beat a team twice. I never wanted my teams to even think that had any impact.
Yeah.
But,
heard that too.
But it's tough. It's human nature to say, okay, they beat us at our place. Let's go get them, get revenge.
But here's the thing. There's one thing about getting beat by the team you beat. There's another thing about getting beat.
That's right.
Like the way Oregon got beat by Ohio State last year in the Rose Bowl. And this is a prime example of that going on tonight. It's 21-0 with 6 minutes left in the third quarter.
Well, by the way, that's the interesting part about the playoff that I was talking about, lean into Ohio State. Wanted that first game at home, catch fire, get some momentum. Here they come.
Yeah.
Already 0-60, and then you get the bye now this time around where you're waiting, and you'll play a team that's already have played. So it's going to be a fun night. I think it's very cool.
Let me ask you a question.
Sides.
What do you think happened to Oregon? Did you think Oregon thought they were going to play the same Ohio State they had played?
Well, I'll tell you.
Understand what I'm saying? Because you can have that in your head.
I'll tell you what I do think was still a mystery is the kid Evan Stewart that thrashed them in the first game receiving did not play in the second game.
Correct.
And I don't know why. He was injured for 2 months. It felt like they never said anything, and he didn't play in that revenge game.
No,
it was weird. Not that would have made the ultimate difference, but he had a great game against Ohio State in the first one.
And they jumped him 34-0 midway through the second quarter.
I kept reminding people
that was just if you're a Buckeye fan, that was just pure sweetness.
But I kept reminding people Ohio State got beat by Oregon last year by 1 point in Autzen Stadium.
Yeah.
It wasn't a
right.
It wasn't a butt kicking.
Even at the end, it was Jeremiah's pass interference was questionable. Then did Will kneel down with 1 second left or with no seconds left?
It was 1 second left, but they didn't go back and look at it because the fans are on the field.
It's
oversight by the Big Ten officials. Not the first time that's happened.
They're writing their own story. This is the team that flipped the script on Michigan, and now they can go win a Big Ten title and check that big second box of the year.
That's driving them. If anybody thinks it's not, you haven't been hanging around this team very much. It's definitely driving them, but I guarantee you, Indiana making history is driving Indiana.
Score prediction, my man.
I got Ohio State 34-20.
I've got it similar. I've got Ohio State 27-20.
Oh, my goodness. This is not – I'm not lying. I just wrote yours down. I had it 31-20 this week, that it's 28-20 going into the fourth, and they obviously kick a field goal and win by 31-20.
You and I had the exact same score last week,
20.
too.
We all have the Hoosiers at 20.
We were all pretty close last week.
We were. Yeah. We had exactly the number on 27. Let's hope we get it tonight. For Dave Biddle, Tim May, and our guy Isaiah Jacob, well done in here, producing in studio. Keep it locked here, right on the Fan.
T-Bone and Tyvus are everything you want in a delicious breakfast. Lots of empty calories, no nutritional value.
Weekday mornings from